In fact, they're four-letter words. Is that okay? Dope, hope, and weed. Not necessarily in that order. I was a lawyer for many years and I became a judge. What I'm doing now has nothing to do with any of that. But I got a couple things to tell you. When I was in high school and I was in college, I was a dope. I never did dope. I missed all that. I'm too old for that. But I was a dope. I mean, when I went to college, closest I ever got to a 4.0 was my breathalyzer test. That was a joke. Nobody laughed.
She laughed.
Oh, okay.
I got you.
But sometimes circumstances change things. My mother, who was a member of Mensa, brilliant woman, had 144 IQ. It skips a generation.
Mm-hmm.
She was a brilliant woman. Then she developed symptoms of Alzheimer's. And about 18 months later, died. Scared the crap out of me. My goodness, I'm stupid, I'm a dope. And my mother, with an IQ in the 140s, Alzheimer's took her life? I'm scared. So I started reading everything I could read about the human brain. I got a book called The Owner's Manual for the Brain. It was the first book I read. Brilliant book. I was reading it 6 years after it was written and published. And what he kept saying in that book is, wait for the next 5 to 7 years. They're going to discover things about how the human brain works that they never knew before. I'm going, hey, I'm reading this book at the right time. So I started reading hundreds of books. And I discovered something. Brain research, they had these new imaging scanners, SPECT scanner. Joe can tell you what that stands for. I'd probably screw it up, Dr. Joe. But they were learning things about the brain they never knew before. And one of the things I observed was my brain was working better. The more I read about how the brain works, the better my brain was starting to work. Whoa. So I had, I don't know, about six 6-inch notebooks full of the notes I had taken about everything I'd read. And some dummy comes to me, some other dope, comes to me and says, you know, you ought to turn that into a book. So we've written 3 or 4 books about the brain. Revolutionize Your Brain. My bestseller was Do-It-Yourself Brain Surgery, non-invasive. But I got to tell you about the most important thing I learned. And that relates to the next 4-letter word, hope. And this should be really important for all of you. It's a fancy word. Now, I swore I'd never use words I can't pronounce and for heaven's sakes can't spell. But here's one of them, because it's important to everybody in this room. The word is neurogenesis. How many of you have heard that word before? Neurogenesis. Oh my goodness, let me tell you what it means. The scientists have learned that if you stimulate your brain, no matter what your age, that's my favorite part. If you stimulate your brain, no matter what your age, your brain will form new connections that will increase the total number of connections you have in your brain and increase your brain's capacity for achievement. In any category, academics, athletics, physical pursuits, any category. Man, you guys ought to be standing and cheering for that. It's the most phenomenal discovery about the brain ever. You can form new connections in your brain. That's where the hope comes in. You've got to have hope because the scientists are learning things that were science fiction 15 years ago. Now, what the heck am I here talking to you about weed for? Well, that's a really good question. When I was a judge back in the 80s in Ohio, Dr. Barry Gordon and I share being Buckeyes. As a judge, I put 311 people in jail for marijuana offenses. I was just a municipal court judge in Dayton, Ohio, so the most I could put somebody in jail was a year. So that's the most, I think I only did that to one defendant. But 310 other people I put in jail for what they were doing. I have no idea, and it haunts me to this day, how many of those people were medicating. I don't know. But I hated marijuana. I hated what it did to the kids. It's a gateway drug. It leads to crack, leads to cocaine, leads to heroin. Horrible stuff. I was wrong. I didn't know that until April of 2015. April of 2015, I was diagnosed with a terminal disease, COPD. A doctor in Gainesville said, "Doug, is your wife here?" After my extensive exam, I said, "Yeah, she's out there," and I'm going, "Uh-oh, you don't want to hear that." "Well, you might want to have her come in." "Oh. Well, your husband has asthma, he has emphysema, and he has COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and that is always fatal. Unless something else gets you first." So, being the ex-lawyer, I had a question. How long have I got? "Oh, well, you know, we don't, shut up, doc. How long have I got?" "Well, medicine is an art, it's not a science. We can't be specific on these things." "Shut up! I want an answer." "Well, 20 months. I mean, that's just an average, Doug, at your stage." I was down to 39% lung capacity at the time. So guess what I did? I had lost hope. I went home waiting to die. We have a little horse farm up in Marion County. I used to sit on the couch and watch the horses all day, just waiting for the Lord to take me home. But my wife wasn't. My wife still had that hope word. We own a ranch in Colorado. And my wife started researching about this thing called cannabis. What the hell is cannabis? Is that dope? Is that weed? Is that grass? Yeah. Well, about 4 months after she got on the computer and started reaching about alternative treatments for COPD, she came to me with a syringe that she had bought in Colorado, lawfully. Unlawfully transported it to Florida. She came to me and said, "I want you to put a drop of this under your tongue." I said, "What is it?" She said, "It doesn't matter." I said, "Yes, it does. That's a syringe. What's in there?" She said, "Well, it's essentially an essential oil." My wife was a good liar. I said, "What is it?" She said, "All right, well, it's cannabis oil." "What? I ain't touching that crap. You got to be kidding me. That stuff is a killer." 6 days we went back and forth. "You're going to take this." "No, I'm not." "You're going to take this." "No, I'm not." Day 7, we got a spiral staircase at the ranch. She's coming down the stairs with a suitcase. "What are you doing, honey?" "I'm leaving you. I'm going to go live with Molly and the kids. If you won't take this and help yourself, I'm not going to help you either." Wow. I took it, put it under my tongue. I said, how do you take this stuff? She said, well, you can put it under your tongue. That's called sublingual. Or you can put it in a suppository. That's called, I ain't doing that. So I put it under my tongue. First night, sitting in bed, waiting for something to happen. I looked up there. My wife was standing by the bed. I said, what's going on? Am I high? Am I being silly? Am I being stupid? What's going on? She said, honey, it's 7:30 in the morning. You just slept 8 hours for the first time in a year. Whoa. Okay, I'll take another drop. Well, long story short, 5 months later, I was declared symptom-free of COPD. I went to my doctor. I wanted it in my chart that an illegal substance had cured me, and he wouldn't do it. They don't want to use the word cure. No, can't do that. We'll put in there that you're symptom-free, and I, of course, cannot put in there what you're doing. As a result of all that, my wife and I have become advocates for the total legalization of cannabis. That's where the word weed comes in. You see, as you've heard today, and you probably heard yesterday, there's my good friend that walked in the back door. Cannabis was a medicine in this country. Every man, woman, and child used cannabis as a medicine before 1937. Everybody used it. My mother used it. And then because of corruption and greed and dirty money
Remember, I was just
and
texting.
lies, it became unlawful.
Can you hear me?
So I am on a mission and I need your help. My wife and I have a company now called Rethink Green. It's time we rethink green in this country. And so we started a Facebook page called Rethink Green. We just recently started
go get
another Facebook page called
Because he's certainly more important than the dog.
Make Weed Great Again.
So hold on 1 second.
I'm not changing the name of that page until we do make it great again. It's not a dangerous drug. It's a frickin' plant. It's a medicine that God put on this earth to heal. So I ask you to join the cause. Check out our Facebook pages, Rethink Green. Make Weed Great Again. Make Weed Great Again is kind of semi-tongue-in-cheek, so we can get lots of followers. But then we're going to start doing some tremendous things. We're starting the Cannabis Association of America. I'm going to be the spokesperson for that organization. Our goal is 250,000 members. And we'd love to have you with us. We've got to make weed great again. It's a healer.